Glasgow Warriors turn on the style against an outgunned Dragons side. My name's Mark, let's talk rugby. This is always going to be a tough game for the Dragons, and the start made it even tougher for them. Glasgow, they get, for them, absolutely perfect start. Johnny Mackay collects a high kick and then puts his foot down. He rides a tackles from Lydiard, a number of other Dragons players as well, and then rounds Kai Evans to go over to score. Thompson converts for 7-0. Glasgow then they get over a couple of minutes later, like pretty much straight from the restart. Nice hands across the back line after an overthrow at a line out. Stafford McDowell, he glides through a gap, sells a dummy, and then goes over to score. Thompson converts this one, and it's 14-0. And there's only 3 minutes on the clock at this stage. And if you're a Dragons fan, you're thinking, geez, like, what's this going to be, 80-something nil or something like that? And it could have been, honestly, like, Dragons left a lot of points on the pitch. But Dragons, they have a chance to respond, but they're putting pressure on the Glasgow line. They do get over the line, but they get held up. McDowell is actually the one to get under the ball. So, doing well, both in attack and defence from him. Glasgow then, they win a penalty to go to the corner. Initially, the driving maul is stopped short, but it's illegal by the Dragons. So from the penalty to go back to the corner. Dragons' defence is better this time, but the Warriors, they split off, and it looks like they're actually gone over to score, but they knock the ball on, and it's a bit of a let off for the Dragons there. Glasgow, they're looking threatening every time that they attack. You got McDowell, McKay, Jordan, Cordero, all looking dangerous anytime that they touch the ball, and it feels like that they're breaking the line just so often, and just little bits and pieces not quite coming off for them to make that final pass or get through that final hole to score. Johnny Matthews, for kind of this period, he's off for an HIA. He's obviously looking to score because he scores almost every game for them, but actually not that many chances for them from driven mauls, and actually the ones that they had, he was off the pitch for a couple of them. But there's plenty more times where Glasgow, they found space with their slick passing, and again, just not quite finishing that or finishing it off, finding that like final pass. As I said, Dragons aren't really offering much going forward, but Coughlin, he's come on, the substitute hooker, won a couple of turnovers for them, been a nuisance at the breakdown, and their scrum as well won them a couple of penalties, which kind of relieved a bit of the pressure. Not really getting them too many chances though up the other end. Then just before half time, Glasgow finish another sweeping move. McDowell and Mackay involved for Mackay to get over for his second, and Glasgow's third is converted by Thompson as 21-0 at half time. Into the second half then, Dragons showing some more ambition at the start of the second half. They're in the Glasgow 22. Screech carries well, but then Davies goes off his feet. Warriors, they're able to clear from there. They go the other end then. Venter makes a break, and then Dobie is just bouncing off tacklers. He offloads from the floor. Jordan does well from there, and then he sets Afshar over to score. It's converted for 28-0, and that's the bonus point, settled within about 5 minutes of the restart. Glasgow almost over again, but there's a great try-saving tackle from Will Reid. There was kind of, there was numbers out there, and Glasgow went for the cross kick, but then Reid waited until whoever it was collected the ball, put in that tackle, and it just allowed enough time for cover to get over. Glasgow, though, they have a penalty, and we come back for that. So they go to the corner from that, but then very comes out of the line out and they get pinged and it's chance gone for Glasgow. Dragons then think they got over to score. Screech crashes over the line, but TMO check, we see that Lydiard, he tried to latch on him, and he kind of, as he went to latch, he kind of missed his bind and he went in front of him, so he caused an obstruction which created the space for Screech to actually get over. So it was no try. We come back for a penalty though for a no arms tackle by Sardoni. Dragons set up for the tap penalty, but then Benjamin forgets to tap the ball, and it's just something simple. We saw, I think, was it early on in the season, I think it was one of the Leinster players did a similar thing as well, where they had a chance, like it looked like something interesting going to happen, and then they missed the tap on the ball, and that was it, chance gone. And Dragons didn't get very many chances in this game, so kind of a little bit criminal for them to do that. Max Williamson then goes on the burst. He offloads it to Tom Gordon. He's in behind, and all he has to do really is draw the defence and pop it off to Afshar, and he's away over for a second. But Gordon instead tries to sell the dummy, and by the time then he wants to give that pass, it's too late and the move breaks down. Dragons then have the longest and probably their best period of possession, and it does lead to them scoring. The ruck ball is noticeably quicker, and they go through multiple phases in that Glasgow 22, and because it's faster, they're actually finding a bit of space and getting some go forward. They manage to stretch that home defence, and they have they have penalty advantage when then Reid goes for the line. He's kind of like brought down just short, but he's within distance. He's just able to stretch out and ground it on the line. No like double movement or whatever the official, you always hear the referee saying it, but then people will tell you there's no such thing as double movement in the law books. But if the referee is using it, it's good enough for me. But there's no hint of that at all in this one. It's just a clear grounding on the line. It's converted by O'Brien. It's 28-7. No chance of Glasgow or Glasgow losing this one, and Dragons making a miraculous comeback though. Glasgow then, they come again, and they get close in the right corner through Dobie and Kennedy with some decent work from them. Then they go left to Jordan. He's got men outside him, including Cordero, but he just decides to go himself and he gets turned over, and that should have been the fifth try there and then. But back come Glasgow again. They're camped on that 22. Weir sells a dummy, then gives a long floated pass out to Cordero, who does get over to score on his debut. Weir misses the conversion from out wide. It's 33 points to 7. Glasgow go to the corner again from penalty. They have McDowell in their line out, and he comes on a peel as the ball is dropped from the top, and he goes through a gap and over to score. Weir converts to make it 40 points to 7, and that was our full-time score. So how does that does that leave the two teams? Well, Dragons, the performance is a bit worrying, because we talked about them kind of earlier on in the season where they were putting performance and maybe not getting results, and then they got they got a result. They got themselves a win, but this one here, they were second best for almost the entire game. And although Glasgow really are a classy outfit, still you got to be worried about the kind of how far behind they are, and they kind of remind you of Zebre maybe 2 seasons ago, where just that gap is a little bit too much. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Sharks overtake these guys and we see the Dragons finishing bottom of the table. But we've seen it before. Teams can, in kind of that last batch of games, like the last 4 or 5 games, actually find a little bit of form as kind of pressure comes off towards the end of the season, when they know that they're not going to be qualifying for anything, but players are maybe playing for kind of positions for the next season, etc. And then you might get a bounce up. So that might happen to them, but at the moment I can't see that happening with them. So they're a little bit of worry. They need some kind of improvement. And I know with their budget, it can be difficult for them. They're not going to recruit too many, so they have to kind of work with what they have. But you still feel that they could be doing better than they are. That's no slight on the players and the coaches, but it's just one of those. I think it's just one of those things that for certain teams to improve, other teams who maybe still are improving, but not quite as much, will look like they're going backwards. I think that's where the Dragons are at the minute. Glasgow looking really classy, as I said, in this one. That attack is looking so good, and they made a comment about them kind of being similar to Leinster. I can see that, like, obviously Leinster have a lot more depth in them, but Glasgow are building depth, and also it's something that's really good for them in the Leinster mold, is that it's the system that is creating the space rather than the personnel. Obviously the personnel make the system work better, the more quality that you have in there, but if your system is able to create that space, then you can slot players in and they can function within that, and you're still going to make that space, and that's the way they are. So it means that they're less reliant on having their stars, that are away now, with the Scotland Six Nations squad. So that's why we're seeing them be so good, I think, in this period, and that's it's nice to see that from them, and they're up there now. I think maybe they possibly leapfrog the Bulls into second place. I'll have to check. Actually, I can check the table right now, I think, but I think they may have actually leapfrogged the Bulls up into second on the table, and they have indeed. Yeah, they're ahead of them because they got 36 match points to the Bulls, 35. So the Bulls benefiting from Benetton losing to Leinster, but still staying in third place. So kind of moving forward, but not really actually in terms of league position. But it's looking really tight at the top of the table there. Leinster, Glasgow, the Bulls, all looking really good. And I was saying that it was going to be a scrap between Leinster and the Bulls for the top two positions, but Glasgow are right in there now, and that's where they've got to see themselves. Glasgow, we've seen them do well. Kind of, again, I always compare them to Ulster because I think those two are very similar in terms of full of talent, full of attacking ambition. They know where the try line is. They can run up big scores, and they can do well over a sustained period of time as well. But when it comes to the crunch matches at the end of the season, that's where we see kind of the mental block come in for them, and for them to fall away or to fail at kind of those important hurdles of quarterfinals and semi-finals. And it's about time Glasgow stepped up this season and maybe went beyond that, and maybe got to a final or even a semi-final would be great for them, but get to a final and potentially lift the trophy, I think would be amazing for them and for Scottish rugby as well. As a Leinster fan, obviously I want to see Leinster lift the trophy, but as a rugby fan, I want to see plurality of winners in this competition as well. It's kind of and we had that with the Stormers a couple of seasons ago. We had that with Munster last year as well. So it's great to see. And I'd still love Leinster to win it this year, but there's plenty of other teams that I'd be happy to see win too. I'm not kind of a begrudger of other teams' success either. I don't feel like I have to feel good by kind of putting others down when they're successful. I like to kind of lift teams up and praise them when they do well, and I like to see kind of that story of a team getting over a mental block and being able to deliver as well. So it'd be great if Leinster don't win, to see Glasgow do that, or to see the Bulls fulfill their potential, or even Benetton or any of the other teams who all have great stories as well for that. And that's what's so exciting about this competition as well. And a lot of people say, URC is the best league. Probably top 14 is the best league, honestly, but URC, they're getting up there, and it's improving year on year, and it's a great thing to see. But this is my 4th game watching in a row today, my 5th game of the weekend, 5 of 6, because I'm going to be watching Ulster tomorrow as well. But some of the games haven't been the best quality, but it's just great to get to watch a lot of rugby and get to see players who maybe don't get all that much game time, getting some decent minutes while the Stars are away at the Six Nations. But it's been, whatever about the quality of the games, it's been a thoroughly enjoyable day of rugby watching for me. And I'm tired now, and I've still got to edit this and then upload it, but I feel like I've enjoyed my day with rugby, and it's been just hectic because between every match I had to make a video and then edit it as well while kind of watching the first 20 minutes or so of the next match as well. But I love the game. I love making these videos. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one, and hope to see you on the next one.